Hello, everyone. Welcome to the update video for WebCrafter. This is 015. In this version, we're introducing authentication for GitHub and Vercel. Hopefully, this will fix deployment issues. We're adding physics and media components to all the templates and also some general fixes for server mishaps and stuff. So if you were trying to export and things weren't updating, this hopefully should fix that. So I'm just going into WebCrafter preferences here. I have open. I just clicked on the GitHub login, and you can see it locks up Blender. And then in my tab over here, it gives me the authentication login process. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to log in, get my SMS verification code, which is annoying to do in a video. 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then you'll get this window. You did it. Good job. You can close this window, and Blender opens back up. Okay, let's do that with Vercel really quick, so we can just run through this process. Add integration, add your scope, and boom, you're all logged in. Oh, I clicked on something and disappeared. There we go. And now, lastly, make sure your Vercel and GitHub integration is completed. So I guess I shouldn't do that in half a millisecond, but here we go. I clicked on it and it shows you continue with GitHub. And if you haven't done that yet, then you should get something like add a GitHub account in the middle. And if you do add that, then you'll get more authentication login to log in quickly. But I've already done it, so my account's right there. Cool. So that's all done. And now the tokens are hidden behind this advanced setting, and you can check your token to make sure that they're loading. If they are bad, it'll turn red. Okay, and then at the bottom here in the preferences is a feedback section. I would love to hear what you're building with WebCrafter, why you purchased it, what you want to build, all of the things. If you want me to stop making it, how much you would miss it if I was to stop building this thing, and whatnot. And if you have general help questions or whatever, I'm happy to help. Always, please reach out if you have any issues with it. I've helped many people fix their bugs that they've faced with it, and I'm totally glad to help anyone else who runs into issues. Um, okay, so let's hop into Blender. I have a cube here. There's also, oh, I forgot to mention, there's SEO options. So now you can add a title to your website and custom, what else can you do? Oh, descriptions and stuff, so it shows up in Google properly. Okay, so let's do that. The first thing, I just duplicated the cube. I'm going to add an SEO property, and I've already gone ahead and typed in some stuff like epic title. I'm going to add a title to the page. I'm just going to start the server so you can see that, and then launch my tab. And there you go. Now you see there's epic title up here. If you wanted a URL or an icon, so you change this little icon there with the picture, you can put in a PNG or JPEG right here. And then this would be your domain name that you can hook up, useful for SEO stuff. So let's just add those properties. Okay. Now also in this section, not sure why I put it here, but it's here. It's a splash screen button. So you can add a splash screen that gives welcome text to people. So here I've typed in welcome, explore my cool site by scrolling in the site, and then a button to say continue. Now I've done this. I'm going to hit export, refresh. I've done this because, let me reset my zoom level. This should be what you see. It's a quick way to add a little text description of what people are going to experience if you don't really want to add custom HTML. And then also it's a very helpful for video if you had like looping audio in the background. It's a security feature. You need to have the user click into your DOM, the website, before audio or video can play, just so you're not spamming people on a pop-up with audio and stuff like that. Okay, so there we go. We have our pop-up. Now let's move on to another object. So I'm going to actually just rename this SEO and then make it pretty big and just throw it up there somewhere. All right, now I'm going to click back on my default cube. I will go ahead and add so make this a button, open link, and open to Google. Okay, and now I'm going to change this to be a red material. Shift it up a little bit. Gonna add a new cube. Scale that down. Scale it out. Scale it down some more. Okay, and then let us add a camera. There we go. So now if I add multiple cameras to my scene, and if this is your first time seeing WebCrafter, I definitely recommend checking out the first update videos. Okay, because I had my last camera selected, it created a new camera on the previously selected camera. All right, let's do that. Let's turn on our GUI, and you'll see there's some text, some updates to the UI text, a new font, and then also if you notice, there's two buttons here. These buttons will let you quickly jump into individual cameras. So now you can use these these buttons to quickly jump between all the cameras in your scene, which is very helpful when you have a ton of cameras. So I have a hotkey that does walk navigation on my mouse, which I recommend assigning. It's very handy. Or you can just click that walk navigation button. One thing you'll notice is that the UI is flickering. This is a bug in Blender 4.0. So hopefully that will be fixed, but in some angles, the UI stops to displaying. There, see, it just stops. So I'm not really sure why, but if you zoom out, it should start rendering again. So a bit annoying, but that will be fixed shortly, hopefully. Okay, and now you can see if I just click on one of the cameras, I can come over here, click view camera, and then cycle left or cycle right between each individual camera. Very handy in creating a big scene. All right, now we have a button, we have a plane. Let's add some physics stuff. So I'm going to just click on here. I'm going to add a cube. I'm going to click on here. I'm going to add a monkey, and then I'm going to click here. I'm going to add icosphere, and let's see, I don't know, something else, torus. Push it to the limit here. Okay, so I'm selecting these objects. I'm going to duplicate these. Okay, I duplicated this thing. Someone walked to my office, so I had to stop for a second. But here we go. I'm just selecting the objects I just duplicated. I'll duplicate them some more, and then I'll do this thing, and let's just throw a few of them in here. Let's make a crazy scene. Okay, probably should have selected them all, but I'm going to scroll to the top. Let's select not the interactive. I'm going to rename this to button. And then select all of our objects. I'm going to move them into a new collection, physics. And then I'm going, you don't have to do that. That's just for organization purposes. And now I'm going to add a physics component to them. I'm going to say they're all dynamic and they're not invisible, so I'll just leave it that way. Then I'm going to come here to the floor. I'm going to make this guy, the floor was selected too, but I'm going to just make this guy rename floor static and not dynamic. Actually, we're going to turn that off and go back to static. All right, so now if I export my scene, and then I refresh, I scroll out, you can see we have our physics, and it's raining a bunch of random objects. I'm actually going to go in to our first one and walk the camera out so it's easier to see what's happening. Okay, export, refresh. Now hopefully it's smooth, but it's very smooth on my machine. One thing you can do now is if you hit the tilt, I forgot this key is called dash, tab, something. So that'll open up performance in the top right corner. So you can see an FPS readout and other stuff for how many textures you have, how much geometry and whatnot. This is very helpful for debugging on all devices. Okay, so I'm going to take that floor, I'm going to duplicate it and just move it down. Okay, by doing that, it copies all of the custom properties. So that's great. That's what we want. But what I'm going to do is also I'm going to add an animation here. So one thing you can do with fancy is add animations onto static physics objects. So here you go. Let's do that. Let's actually just scale it down or make the animation go for 40 frames or something. Now let's make it a looping animation. So let's click on the object that has the animation. Let's click the plus button, click the check button with looping selected, hit export, hit refresh. And let's see what happens. There you go. You can see now we have a pretty interesting scene going on. And we have a button here. Now it looks like there is a bit of a issue where the pointer is staying active. So I'll note that and fix that. But yeah, I just need to get this update out because I've added a little bit too many features. So hopefully I'll add less features in one update at once. But you can see how cool this site is already. It's very clear. If you added text, click here, it'd be pretty obvious that that's a button. Or just make it a button. Now, what we could also do is say, let's make this guy really big. And let's actually make this also a physics object, and it's dynamic. So you can have dynamic physics buttons. Okay, let's do it there. There we go. And you can see the pointer is working a lot better. And if I click on that, it opens up Google. Um, so you can make a really interesting sort of layout. Now, note that the physics objects work decently in the VR template, but unfortunately it's using an older physics library, so it's not that great. And I think there's some limitations. I think buttons work in the physics one, yeah, in the VR template, but something about, oh, the animations don't work. So doing physics animations like this with static objects don't work yet. Okay, so cool website, ready to go. Let's now make this a little bit more interesting. Let's take our floor and let's make some walls. Just gonna duplicate it twice. Gonna go like this, and rotate on the Y 90 degrees. Oh, you know what? Individual origin, rotate on the Y 90. And then I'm going to duplicate this and then say rotate bounding box 90 on the Z. All right, now let's export just so we can keep our objects from flying out of the scene. And as you can see, let's make it full screen for a second. There we go. Now they're all staying inside of our bounding box, or bounding walls at least. So yeah, we can fly into our physics scene, still click our physics buttons and whatnot and come out. Now, one note, I would love to know what kind of 3D site brought you to WebCrafter. If it's a video game website, a portfolio, a studio website, an event page kind of thing, a VR art studio where you're displaying your art in a really interesting way. I would love to know that so I can better optimize a template or build a custom template for that reason, so I can give you guys the best product possible. Okay, now another really cool thing is we have audio in all of our scenes. So, you know, I'm going to just come down here, add a box down here for fun. I'll rename it to audio. Actually, up here's that. All right, so it's going to be an audio object. I'm going to check it as a media object, check it as an audio object. Now there's three types: positional audio, regular audio, and video. Positional audio will just give you audio that's in a certain area. So if you had this next to a specific camera, that camera would hear it louder than other ones. So you could make like different rooms have different music kind of deal. And it's a directional cone, so it's going to do something like the audio go out in this direction kind of deal. So you might have to figure out which the forward direction is of your object and then do that. But yeah, so anyway, let's add some audio and we're just going to make it loop and we're going to make it a regular audio so it's the same volume in every area of your scene. So I just happen to know one will sound decently with this song, and then I've already gone ahead and put in a link to an MP3 song, MP3 file. So check, adding all that components, export, refresh, and now when I click continue, let me reset that, that's fine. Good here. There we go. We have our music playing, some epic drum and bass. That's a little loud, so I'm going to turn it down by another 10 factor. There we go. So now it's quietly playing. It doesn't look like you can actually hear it there. I'll turn it up a bit in the recording. I can barely hear it actually. Let's go back to 0.5. How about that? Export. But yeah, so now it's very easy to add. It's to your website very quickly. So with that, let us move on to, let's add a video now. Okay, so we're going to add a video into our cool scene. Let's make it, click on one of these guys. Let's go to our first camera. Let's come here, select our walls. And I'm just gonna hide the walls. Oh, you know what I realized is that they all have animation, so that's something to watch out for. But we're only adding one, so that's fine. Or one animation to our scene. Okay, now I want a video to be playing in the center here. Maybe I'm gonna click on my camera, I'm gonna go to the next one. Okay, so here, I want a positional audio video to be playing. So I'm gonna add a cube. I'm going to take the, sorry, that's a plane. I'm gonna turn off automatic keyframing. I'm going to change this guy to a 1x1 dimensional video, or plane. Check the media component, change it to video, change it. Now we have a trigger. I forgot to mention that actually, also on the audio component. So all media components have a trigger to play them. You can have a mesh, or you can play a video on select. So if the user clicks on a plane or mesh that has a video component, it will play and pause. So toggle the video on and off when it's clicked on pointer enter and on pointer exit. So if you hover over the mesh, it'll start playing. If you hover out of the mesh, it'll start playing also. Some just interesting features you can add to your media, and that works for audio and video. Okay, so we want this one to be actually on select. Let's say on select, and then we're going to say, make this, if I just hit the backspace, I'll go back to the default, which has a random Google advertisement video that just happens to work. So if you wanted to figure out, some people were dealing with hosting issues for a video that it wasn't allowing them to display the video for some reason. So hopefully this video can give a little insight into what does work and what doesn't. All right, let's export. Also, I've investigated that, and it's a good idea to use GitHub if you wanted to, just a quick way to host some files, and then you can use a raw GitHub user content link, which if you Google how to figure that out, or you just message me on Discord, I can explain. Okay, so we have our video added. So if I scroll in, there we go, there it is. Right, video. There we go. Now I can quietly hear it, but I don't know. There we go. Cool. So we have a video playing in our 3D space. It's positional audio, which is a pretty interesting effect you can have too. And you know what? Let's make this a little bit more interesting by throwing these guys into the middle of the chaos. Because why not? Right. Now it's lerping there. Oh, that's funny. Oh, it didn't load again. Oh, it might just be my internet. Oh yeah. So after you click, it takes a while for it actually to load the entire video or part of it. I'm not sure if it loads the entire or just buffers, but here we go. Here's our video loading in the middle of our scene, bouncing cubes and stuff. It's pretty interesting. If we come over here, we can see our video is playing properly. And yeah, so we have this interesting interface ready to go. Great. Well, thanks for watching. Sorry that this took longer than I expected, and I hope if you have any questions, you'll reach out. I'm so happy to help, and please reach out prior to leaving any poor reviews. I would really appreciate that. All right, thanks.